Alrighty, so let's talk about how the internet, especially TikTok, has completely butchered autism terminology.
When something upsets me, it's gonna result in one of two things. Either I'm gonna be really reactive, overreact, have like a whole meltdown. Or, and this is worse, this means I'm even more upset, I'm gonna go nonverbal about it for like 2 days. That's not good.
You'd think half the platform was medically trained the way they throw around these terms. But in reality, most of it's just vibes-based diagnoses and buzzwords with zero context. What up, big dogs? Welcome to the muck hole. Let's just get this out of the way. Nonverbal does not mean, I was shy at a party. It doesn't mean, I was anxious, I didn't talk for 10 minutes. That's not nonverbal. That's just being quiet. Nonverbal, in a literal sense, is only accurate when someone cannot produce any communicative behavior. That means no words, no signs, no gestures, nothing. We're talking about someone who's asleep, in a coma, or dead. If you're still uploading TikToks about how you went nonverbal, you're very much not nonverbal. And even silence can be communicative. If you go quiet because you're overwhelmed, that's still a form of verbal behavior, because it communicates something. If you have the capacity to describe your experience later, to say, I went nonverbal, then you're not. The correct terms here would be things like non-speaking or non-vocal. And even then, those labels are reserved for people who cannot use language to communicate at all, or who only know a handful of words. These aren't temporary states. These are defining characteristics of how someone navigates the world. If you can label yourself with the term, it probably doesn't apply to you. And while we're here, stop calling severe, dangerous behaviors meltdowns. That language waters it down. Some people do have meltdowns, sure, where they whine a bit, they might cry, sniffle, huff and puff.
So I've been having a really rough day. I've been having an increase of meltdowns recently, and I woke up today, I woke up happy, I was happy today, but meltdowns happen at the most random moments. I was finally having a good day, and I go to Panera with my coworker for lunch, and I'm just sitting there eating my sandwich, and then all my intrusive thoughts start happening, and I'm just I get very uncomfortable.
But when you're talking about self-injury, aggression, or property destruction, calling that a meltdown is minimizing. It's disrespectful to the people who live with it every day and to their caregivers who manage it. And I'm not talking about a little slap to the face, I'm talking about severe tissue damage, severe physical aggression, property destruction to the point where you're destroying thousands of dollars worth of property. It's not a joke. Now stimming. Stimming has gone mainstream. You hear it all the time. And honestly, it's kind of weird how quickly it's become a brand, isn't it?
Morning Angels, let's do a stim box tour. So I have a 3-tiered toolbox that I use for my stim toys, and then I also put some in my bag.
We've got entire stim toy industries booming off of this. Marketing pop-ups and Chewies like they're essential medical gear when they're not. That marketing, it's most likely rooted in the massive rise of neurodivergent discourse online. It's smart branding, but it's weak science. So everyone stims. Tapping your foot, cracking your knuckles, chewing on your hoodie strings, welcome to the club. But social media treats stimming like it's a quirky badge of honor. There are creators who film themselves just twirling stim toys set to soft music, turning it into this sort of aesthetic. And then there's the flip side, treating stimming as something pathological. Oh, he's stimming, that means he's in distress. Or, oh, he's stimming, that means he has autism. Not necessarily. Stimming can be self-soothing, expressive, or just something that feels good. Sometimes there's not a deeper reason. It's not this exotic autistic trait, it's a human one. Everyone stims. Even if you say you don't, if you were to be locked into a room by yourself with nothing in there long enough, you'd probably start rocking back and forth. That's stimming. Alrighty, let's move on to Chewies and fidget toys for a second. Yes, they can help some people, but the way social media presents them, like they're some sort of miracle or some sort of necessity for neurodivergent people, is a problem. These tools were designed as temporary supports. A Chewie can help a kid redirect from chewing their shirt collar, biting themselves, or biting objects, while someone teaches them other strategies. A fidget might help with difficult transitions for a kid while they get used to something, But when you start treating these items like they're essential to your identity or like you can't function without them, you've missed the point. Plus, there are real downsides. Dentists have flagged Chewies for causing serious long-term jaw issues and dental wear. Fidgets, often more distracting than helpful in classrooms. There's a reason they get banned in schools. They didn't actually help with focus. They're just marketed like they do. Sure, use the tools if they help, but don't treat them like they're cures or a personality trait.
This is my meal. I call this girl dinner. Girl dinner. Girl dinner. Girl dinner. Girl dinner.
And definitely don't use them as a prop for engagement, please. So here's where things get murky, maybe even dangerous. We're seeing this rise of performative autism, where people exaggerate or fake traits to build an online persona. And look, I'm not talking about late diagnosed folks or people who are earnestly exploring whether they're neurodivergent. I'm talking about people who hop on TikTok, copy a list of surface level traits, and start making content as if they speak for the whole spectrum. A lot of these people might fall into what used to be called Asperger's, now level 1 autism. And sure, their experience is valid, but it's not the whole story. The entire push for normalization has come from people who can speak, who can self-advocate, who can monetize their experience. Meanwhile, there's a whole other side of the spectrum. People with profound autism, who can't advocate for themselves at all. They don't have YouTube channels, they don't have TikToks, they're not doing STEM toy unboxings, and when the loudest voices claim to represent all of autism, it's like saying, I'm Mexican, so I can speak for every Mexican. No, I can relate to some stuff, but I can't speak for every Mexican. And just like me, you can't relate to everyone on the autism spectrum just because you're on the spectrum yourself. If you don't require support, if you live independently, if you're functioning without services, then how meaningful is your diagnosis? Maybe you're just socially awkward with specific interests. That's not autism, that's just being a person. Now look, destigmatization isn't a bad thing. More awareness, less shame, better access to diagnosis. That's all great. But what we're seeing now isn't just destigmatization, it's dilution. Autism's being watered down into a TikTok personality. Quirky stimming, niche fixations, maybe a savant moment for spice. But that's not what autism is. That's a carefully curated slice of one part of the spectrum. And the more that version gets amplified, the more invisible everyone else becomes. When autism gets flattened into, I stim and don't like eye contact, the public stops seeing it as a real disability. The consequences of that, you're already seeing them. Support's getting harder to justify, it being used as a casual insult, kids with profound needs getting less attention, services being stripped because the public thinks autism just means someone who's really into trains and doesn't like hugs. That's the problem. It's not that people are talking about autism, it's that they're only talking about the version that's easiest to market. And here's the other side of that coin. The internet loves seeing autistic people when they're funny, quirky, or relatable. Honestly, they love seeing people with developmental disabilities in general when they're funny, quirky, or relatable. But the moment things get hard to watch, the empathy vanishes. Take someone like Darius on TikTok. He has profound autism. His videos get millions of views, and people comment things like, he's hilarious, or treat his behavior like it's some sort of bit. But let's be honest, if you saw a video of Darius beating the shit out of his mom, there are some people who would instantly switch up. They'd call it abusive, they'd say he's dangerous, they'd unfollow, and that's the reality. For families of people with profound autism, that's what everyday life can look like. Physical aggression, property destruction, medical restraints. But the internet doesn't want that version. It wants the entertainment version, the lovable goofball version. As long as the disability looks cute or funny, it's acceptable. But as soon as the inconvenient or scary behaviors come out, that person becomes instantly villainized. There's a specific threshold for behavior that's justifiable. And once that threshold is crossed, you get labeled as evil or inherently flawed. This is what happens when the public sees autism as a personality instead of a disability. People want the aesthetic of neurodivergence without having to confront the parts that are messy, complex, and sometimes unsafe. I'm not here to gatekeep autism, but if you're going to talk about it, at least use the words correctly. If you're non-vocal, you don't get to say it. If you're still talking, labeling, or describing, you're not non-verbal. you're just quiet. And that's fine, but be real about it. We've got to stop pretending that chewing on silicone jewelry or doing a stem dance means you're autistic. We've got to stop letting influencers with level 1 autism speak over people who actually can't speak. And we've got to stop glamorizing disabilities we don't understand. Autism isn't an aesthetic. It's not a costume. It's not a social media brand. It's a diagnosis that should mean something. Let's treat it with that kind of respect.